Jaya, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, Subang Jaya Buddhist Association, the digital team, endures and continuously brings you new, refreshing, open video to our online Dhamma events. How was the song just now? Do you like it? Please type your answers in the comment box. For those of you who did not join us last week, may I introduce to you a young gentleman who believe in using Buddhist songs to propagate Buddhism. You will get the motivation from him. Never mind, he will tell you even though you did not attend last week. May I present Brother Niven? Brother Niven is a self-taught music composer, and he is one of the co-founder of Buddhist music group called iGems. He co-produced the albums featuring some of his own compositions and collaborations with like-minded fellow Buddhist composers and singers. You can say hello to Brother Niven now. Say sadhu to him for doing such a great job. Do it in the comments box. Hi, Brother Niven. Suki Hotu. Many of them who are watching now did not attend the first featured session. You can tell them, even though you have mentioned it in the previous session, or about iGems and about yourself and inspiration. You are involved in a group who are in promoting Dhamma via Buddhist songs. Can you tell us when and how did iGems group started? Tell us more about the group. Over to you, Brother Niven.
Hi, Sukihotu brothers and sisters. I'm Niwen, one of the founders of iGems, the Buddhist music group. Who is iGems? iGems started, very many years ago as a group of friends who came together to have fun and sing Buddhist songs together. We were having fun playing songs by the Wayfarers, playing classics of the songs that were composed a long time ago. Eventually from there, it quickly became a mission for the group to inspire others through Dhamma music that we performed. We had a platform that we used in the Buddhist Gem Fellowship to basically sing the songs and perform them to an audience for the puja and for the Dhamma sharing. Eventually, some of us decided to write our own original songs, which led to the production of our first album, Cradled in Buddha's Arms. Today, the songs from that album have been sung in many places by many people and on many occasions. The inspiration from the songs have touched the lives of many and has spanned over 2 generations of listeners. Some of the songs have now become a staple in many events. In fact, you may be singing some of them in your own Dhamma centers yourselves. Some young people even came to me and say to me that they grew up listening to the Dhamma songs when they were in Dhamma school. So that is the impact that we have on the generations. For today's feature, I would like to introduce one song that I personally composed. And that song is inspired by the Buddha's teaching of living in the present moment. The past is gone. The future has not yet come. The only moment that is real is now. And therefore, the only way for us to have peace and happiness and stillness is really nowhere but in the here and the now. Therefore, the name for this song is called Here and Now. I hope you will be inspired by this song so that you will find happiness and stillness in today's present moment. Please enjoy Here and Now.
Life is made up of moments. Moments are all we got. Can you live it truly, fully alive? Can you die to every passing moment, be reborn in each new moment? Can you live each moment with faith and joy? 'Cause in the here and now we truly live, here and now we dwell. The past is gone, the future has not come. The present is the only time we have, the only genuine moment. So live now, in the here and now. The past is gone, do not pursue it. The future has not yet come. Why do you lose yourself in all illusions? Death comes unexpectedly. How can we bargain with it? To wait until tomorrow is too late. Here and now we truly live, here and now we dwell. The past is gone, the future has not come. The present is the only time we have, the only genuine moment. So live now, in the here and now. Look deeply at life as it is, in the very here and now. Dwell in stability and freedom and peace. Here and now we truly live, here and now we dwell. The past is gone, the future has not come. The present is the only time we have, the only genuine moment. So live now, in the here and now. So live now, in the here and now. Life is made up of moments. Moments are all we got. Can you live it truly, fully alive? Can you die to every passing moment, be reborn in each new moment? Can you live each moment with faith and joy?
Wow, isn't that an upbeat music? Wow, I just love it. Here and now, the past is over. You're talking about the present. This music is really appealing to the younger generations. And inside it, there is some Dhamma message. To those of you who are involved in the Sunday Dhamma School example, well, you can make use of these songs during your session in the SDS. Appeal to the children with music. And those of you who are organizing events, Buddhist events, you can also use songs from the IJMs or from any other groups. Is it wonderful to use Buddhist songs to propagate the Dhamma? And many of us felt that, yes, music appeals to many. For those of you who have been inspired, well, you may also follow the footsteps of Brother Niven, or we call him Dede Niven. I would like to acknowledge the group iGEMS for spreading the Dhamma with a lot of effort, composing songs, Buddhist songs, so that many of us benefit these days. And we also like to thank iGEMS for allowing us to use their songs in our program here, The Voices of Blooms. We will continue to feature young, aspiring, or already they are singers or composers of Buddhist songs. So, welcome you to join us again on the next session of The Voices of Blooms. Remember to look at the messages, the postings in all our Facebooks. And today we have new viewers via the Brahma Vihara Facebooks and TBCM. We welcome you. So, thank you, Niven, for that interview. Goodbye, and I'll see you again. Namo Buddhaya, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. A very good morning to everyone. Nice to see you again over another Sunday over Subang Jaya Buddhist Association Facebook Live and cross postings with Theravada Buddhist Council of Malaysia and Brahma Vihara. And remember, brothers and sisters, make sure that you have a clear audio and visual. Check on your Wi-Fi. And remember, during the Buddha Puja service, remember to have a calm mind. Some of you, please prepare a candle or oil lamp at your altar. Wait for the announcement to light the candle together with Venerable Dr. Dhammapala. To those of you who has just joined us, this morning, Subang Jaya Buddhist Association 27 online Sunday's Buddha Puja service. We have been organizing this weekly online Puja service in order to give an opportunity to Buddhist devotees near and far to continue with our Buddhist faith and practices during this COVID-19 period. Please share this weekly Facebook event with your families, relatives, and friends. And remember to give us a like or say sadhu in the comment box. And this morning, as I mentioned, we have viewers from TBCM and Brahma Vihara. Welcome. Let us prepare ourselves, sitting comfortably, relax our bodies and compose our mind. Let go of thinking about the past and future and be in the present moment. May I hand over to our Puja leader, Sister Anne. Sister Anne.
Thank you, Brother Chuan. Namo Buddhaya, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, good morning. Let us begin with our Sunday Buddha Puja service. With respect, may we invite Venerable Dr. Dhammapala to make the offerings to the Buddha. Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, you may also light your candles or oil lamps and make your brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, let us pay homage to the Triple Gem. Buddhang Pujami, Dhammang Pujami, Sanghang Pujami, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Together, let us invite Venerable Dr. Dhammapala to administer to us the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts. Ahang Bante Sangsara Vata Dukkhato Mochanataya Nisaranena Saha Pancha Silang Dhammang Yachami Anukkahang Katwa Silang Deta Me Bante Tutiyampi Ahang Bante Sangsara Vata Dukkhato Mochanataya Nisaranena Saha Pancha Silang Dhammang Yachami Anukkahang Katwa Silang Deta Me Bante Tatiyampi Ahang Bante Sangsara Vata Dukkhato Mochanataya Nisaranena Saha Pancha Silang Dhammang Yachami Anukkahang Katwa Silang Deta Me Bante.
Namaskar. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
ติสารณะบุตตังสารนังกัจฉามิ
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
ธัมมังสารนังกัจฉามิ
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
สังฆังสารนังกัจฉามิ
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
ดุติยัมปิบุตตังสารนังกัจฉามิ
Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami.
ดุติยัมปิธัมมังสารนังกัจฉามิ
Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami.
ดุติยัมปิสังฆังสารนังกัจฉามิ
Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami.
ตติยัมปิบุตตังสารนังกัจฉามิ
Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami.
ตติยัมปิธัมมังสารนังกัจฉามิ
Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami.
ตติยัมปิสังฆังสารนังกัจฉามิ
Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami.
ปัญจศีลปานาติปาตาเวรมณีสิกขาปะดังสมาธิยามิ
Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami.
อดินนาดานาเวรมณีสิกขาปะดังสมาธิยามิ
Adinadana Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
กาเมสุมิจฉาจาระเวรมณีสิกขาปะดังสมาธิยามิ
Kamesu Miccachara Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
มุสาวาดาเวรมณีสิกขาปะดังสมาธิยามิ
Musavada Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
สุราเมรยมัจจปมาดัฏฐานาเวรมณีสิกขาปะดังสมาธิยามิ
Surameraya Macca Pamadattana Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
Imani pancha sikkhapadani samadhiyami.
Imani pancha sikkhapadani samadhiyami. Imani pancha sikkhapadani samadhiyami. Imani pancha sikkhapadani samadhiyami.
Apamadena sampadeta.
Amabante. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Buddhanusati, recollection of the Buddha. Iti piso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vichacharana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisa dhamma sarati satta deva manosanang buddho bhagavati. Dhammanusati, recollection of the Dhamma. Suakato bhagavata dhammo sanditiko akaliko ehipasiko opanayiko pachatang veditabo vinyohiti. Sanghanusati, recollection of the Sangha. Supatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Ujupatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Nyayapatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Samicipatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Yadidang chattari purisa yogani atta purisa pogala Esa bhagavato savaka sangho Ahuneyo Ahuneyo Dakineyo Ahanjali Karaniyo Anuttara Punyaketang Lokasati. Chetya Vandana, salutation to the holy shrine. Vandami chetiyang sabbang sabbata nisupatititang saririka dhatu mahabodhi Buddha rupang sakalang sada. Bodhi Vandana, salutation to the Bodhi tree. Yasa sat, yasa mole, nisinova, sabari vijayang akam. Pato sabbanyutang satang, vande tang bodhipadapang. Ime ete mahabodhi lokanat tena pujita aham pite namasami bodharaja namatutte. Padipa Puja, offering of lyre. Gana sarapaditena dipena tamadansina tiloka dipang sambodang pujayami tamonodang. Dopa Puja, offering of incense. Ganda sambarayotena dopenahang sugandina ojaye ojaneyantang oja bhajanamotamang. Pupa Puja, offering of flowers. Vanaganda gunopetang etang kusuma santati pujayami munindas sripada saroruhi. Pujemi buddhang kusumena nena pangena mettena ca hotu mokang popang milaya tiyata idang me kayo tataya divinasa bhavang. Paniya Puja. Adeva setu no bante paniyang parikapitang anukampang upadaya patigan hatumutamang. Asking for forgiveness. Kayena vacha cittena pamadena maya katang acayang kamame bante buripanya tathagata. Kayena vacha cittena pamadena maya katang acayang kamame dhamma sandetika akalika. Kayena vacha cittena pamadena maya katang acayang kamame sangha supatipanna anuttara. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Namo Buddhaya, Bande, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. This morning, we are very pleased to have Venerable Dhammapala to be with us for this Sunday Buddha Puja. Venerable Dhammapala will be giving a Dhamma talk with the title Rebirth, Intermediate Being, Kantapa. The talk will be in both English and Mandarin. 各位佛友，今天我们 很有机缘能够得到Dhammapala 法师为我们佛法开示。今天的题目是斋生中有干他婆相应。Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, in this talk, if you have any questions regarding the talk, please type your questions in the comment section. We shall pose the questions to Venerable Dr. Dhammapala after the talk. Please take note that we might not be able to answer all questions due to time constraint. I think all of us know Venerable Dr. Dhammapala, but please allow me to make a short introduction. Venerable Dr. Dhammapala was ordained as an Upasampada Bhikkhu in Wat Chong Kedah in 1994 under the most respected Chau Kun, Pra Raj Dhammatara, was a chief Siamese Sangha Nayaka in Malaysia. Subsequently, he sought spiritual dependence under the guidance of Venerable Dhammasakaro Mahathero. He spent 15 years studying Buddhist philosophy, Pali and Sanskrit literatures in Sri Lanka and Hong Kong. In the year 2009, Venerable Dr. Dhammapala obtained his doctorate of philosophy in Buddhist studies under the supervision of the famous professor Venerable K.L. Dhamajoti in the University of Hong Kong. After his graduation, Venerable Dr. Dhammapala was appointed as chief editor and spiritual director for the Buddhist Door website, one of the oldest and largest Buddhist websites in the world. In 2010 to 2013, he was the visiting assisting professor at the Center of Buddhist Studies, the University of Hong Kong. He traveled frequently conducting meditation retreats, Dhamma talks and teaching in Malaysia, Hong Kong, Taiwan, China. Brothers and sisters in Dhamma, with due respect, we now invite Venerable Dr. Dhammapala. Pandey.
Namo Buddhaya. We are very much concerned with the death and rebirth as we are approaching old age and death. And no one has ever come back to tell us the mechanism of death and rebirth. We know the teaching of death and rebirth from the Buddha discourses, but different scholars and practitioners in the ancient times had offered various teachings and understanding. However, they differ slightly among themselves in their teaching of rebirth, or intermediate being, or Gandhabba. Therefore, we have to be mindful in our understanding of rebirth and be faithful to the early Buddha's teaching. 我们大家呢都非常关心死亡和再生，因为呢我们会开始慢慢的变老会死亡，也因为没有人死后呢回来告诉我们死亡和再生的过程，所以呢我们只能从早期的经典了解这些教理。那到了部派佛教呢，那一些论师和一些修行者也加入了讨论和提供他们的见解。当然他们之间的理解呢也是跟这个早期经典也是有一点出入所以呢我们要以正知正见来讨论这个课题，那包括死亡再生的课题。Then we are going to discuss the rebirth, intermediate beings, and Gandhabba, that is to say, being to be born. What happens if one dies? Is whether one's life immediately follow another, or is there a period of times in between? If in between, some traditions believe there is an intermediate being, and Theravada do not accept the in-between state nor the concept of Antarbhava, an intermediate being, as if eternal soul entity that hanging around for some times in order to seek rebirth. And these concepts are not unknown to us. If Theravada were to believe in the Antarbhava, then how could Theravada account for in-between state? So much so that the Chinese traditional Buddhists have the belief of 49 days of intermediate gap before reincarnated. 今天呢，我们将要来讨论呢再生中阴身跟这个 Gandhabba 的这个课题。如果一个人死了，他是不是呢即刻就去投胎，还是呢死亡后呢还有一段时间就是一段时间中间等待去投胎呢？假如还要等一段时间去投胎，那有一些部派佛教认为有这个中阴身的存在。那当然上座部佛教呢不接受中阴身的说法，那这师父呢承认有一个永恒的灵魂在中间徘徊。如果上座部佛教呢相信中阴身的话呢，那么上座部佛教呢要如何解释人死后存有一段中间的这个时段等待投胎呢？那华人传统呢这个信仰呢普遍相信就是人死后呢49天后去投胎。那这个要怎么去解释呢？ Then another concept very important is the use of Gandhabba in the early discourses, and in the suttas called Asalayana suttas. The sutta says there are 3 conditions for the conception of being, and Gandhabba is one of the conditions. And how should we understand the concept of Gandhabba if Theravada rejected the intermediate being? Then what is exactly the Gandhabba? If you say Gandhabba is an intermediate being, does it contradict the Buddha's own teaching that there is no in-between state between death and rebirth? Then what is the implication of Gandhabba in the suttas used by the Buddhas? 那另外一个很重要的这个概念呢，就是 Gandhabba。在这个 Asalayana Sutta 里面有谈到，一个生命的诞生呢，需要具备这3个条件那 Gandhabba 呢，就是其中一个条件。如果上座部佛教呢拒绝有一个中间的阶段那我们应该如何来理解 Gandhabba 的概念？那这首与佛陀的教导有没有矛盾呢？那佛陀使用这个 Gandhabba 的意味呢是什么呢？ And we shall spare a little time looking at these very important issues 所以我们会来看待这个一些议题，那不要呢使得呢不清不楚First of all, intermediate beings Antarbhava evolved and developed by the Sarvastivada, one of the earliest school of Saktian Buddhism, and eventually accepted by other school of Buddhist thought. Although in the past, many teachers held different views of the intermediate being, but they will all believe there was a being after destruction of the faculty of life and the 4 great elements. Before the reincarnation, there was a transition period before it takes rebirth. It means there is a gap in between the death of sentient beings and the rebirth of next life. And they believe that the karma of sentient beings may not be ripened immediately after that, so they will stay sometimes in an intermediate state, waiting to be reborn. So this is the understanding of the Sarvastivada. 那我们来看这个中永或者是中阴身 Antarbhava 呢，这个概念呢是源自于一切就源自于部派佛教的一切有部的思想。后来呢，被一些佛教呢传承所接受呢，也并把这个中阴身这个学说呢加以的发扬光大。那虽然在过去呢有很多论师大家都持有不同中阴身的解释，但大家还是围绕在有情众生命根败坏四大分解后呢，在还没有界身之前，就是说在还没有投胎之前，中间存有一个过渡期，意思就是说有情呢死亡后与再生之间还有段间隔。那这些部派的论师认为呢，有情呢在死后业不一定会即刻成熟，于是呢就处于在这个中间的这个阶段以等待受生。那这个是一切有部的这个说法。 As for how long a being should stay in the intermediate stage after death. So different commentators have different opinions besides Theravada, and some things that it takes only a moment. Some things that 1 day, 7 days, or 49 days, or even a very long time. And these are all recorded in their treatise called the Mahavibhasha Sastra, is a great commentaries, and Abhidhamma Kosha Bhasha. 那至于在死后呢，要待在这个中阴阶段呢，有多久呢？那不同的这个论师也有不同的说法啊，有的认为只是一刹那，有的认为是1天，或者7天，或者是49天，或者是乃至更长的时间。那这些都是在一切有部的论著里面呢，比如在这个大毗婆沙论或者是俱舍论里面都有详细的记载。So Buddhist disciples with proper views and understanding can easily identify this kind of thought is very similar to those people who believed in the permanent soul. And these heretics advocated that people have soul after death. And this kind of belief of soul was introduced to Buddhism by the ancient teachers and heretics, who instead advocating a permanent view, immortality, and eternal self to explain life after death. 那有正见的佛弟子呢，就很容易分辨出呢，刚才讲的这种思想呢，是以一般这个民间灵魂信仰或者是神教的思想很相似。那这些外道的修行人呢，他们一般都主张就是死后呢，还有这个神识啦，或者是灵魂，或者是灵体之类的方式存在。那这种灵魂的思想呢，被古代的论师就是间接的就引进了这个佛门了。那主张主张这个常见自性不灭自我永恒的这样的一个思想Why it is so? Because this kind of teaching is very simple and easy to be accepted by people who don't have a proper view. You just tell them when a person dies, it is a soul that reincarnated and nothing else. And it is simple, easy to understand. Then in the past, there were many teachers who were discussing the Buddha's teachings on non-self very often, or they indirectly penetrated some teachings of eternal soul that borrowed or loaned from other heretics' teachings in order to explain the Buddha's teachings on rebirth, samsara, and reincarnation, etc. 那为什么会这样子呢？那其实原因很简单当你讲这个灵魂投胎那很容易呢就被没有正见的人接受了，所以呢自荐呢你就跟他们讲灵魂去投胎就可以了那么在过去很多论师们呢在讨论这个无我的课题呢，经常会被会将呢一些外道的这个灵魂思想间接的慢慢渗透在佛陀所讲的这个无我的思想里面，来解释再生、轮回跟这个投胎等。因为这些人其实都还没有觉悟所以呢他们认为说用这样的思想来解释的话呢，较为一般人接受这样子。If we Buddhists were to understand the teachings of intermediate being, we must adhere to the principle of non-self. That is to say, the intermediate beings refer to a suitable beings ready to be born in that particular womb, mother's womb. This term is used in this particular connection and must not be mistaken for the permanent soul. For a being to be born here, somewhere a being must die, and the birth of the being, which strictly means the arising of the aggregates in this life, corresponds to the death of the being in the past life. Just as in conventional terms, the rising of the sun in one place means the setting of the suns in another place. Birth and death are only two phases of the same process. Birth precedes death, and death, on the other hand, precedes birth. So it is just another form of being who has been reborn in another state of life. It's just a form of being. And this is the only teaching of intermediate being that can be understood from the teaching of non-self. If you were to accept the teaching of non-self, okay, were to accept the intermediate being. And it is not the self. If the intermediate being will really exist, say for example, then the intermediate being must belong to one of the beings in the 6 realms. It's nothing a permanent entity, but it's just a being, okay? It's just a being to be reborn in one of the 6 realms, that is to say. 所以当我们佛教徒呢要来了解这个中阴这个思想呢，我们就得要在这样的一个情况之下呢，在这个无我的法则上来谈这个中阴身。那这个中阴身呢，在这个无我的这个法则来谈的话，其实它就是一个有情众生，意思就是说要准备在母胎中怀孕的另一种生命的这个状态。那这一专有名词呢，只能用在这个特殊的情况下，不能错误的把它当成是一种永恒的灵魂。那比如说现世的这个五蕴升起，那这个现世的五蕴升起就是身体了，那就和这个有情它潜意识的死亡相结。那意思就是在这个传统上呢，我们说太阳从东边升起，那意味着呢太阳从西边降落。那生与死呢，也只不过就是在同一个过程中2个不同的阶段，先是生而后有死。那反过来说，那先有死而后有生。那以每一个人的这个生命之流相结合，所以生死呢就不停的继续下去。如果我们讲这个中阴身的这个生命状态呢是真的存在的话那么呢中阴身呢肯定呢就是属于在这个6道众生之一，并不是什么所谓的灵魂之类的，它只不过就是投胎转世的一个众生而已How is the look of Dhammapala if were to exist? So according to some sectarian Buddhist traditions, intermediate beings are in the form of human form. Okay, in the human form. And they are still capable of seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, and thinking. Then according to them, only those people who are reborn in the heaven and those who are reborn in the hell after that do not have the intermediate being. So excluding the heaven and the hell, then which type of the life of the 6 realms fit the criteria for the reborn of the intermediate being? Then the answer is only the Asura or demigods or ghosts that are closest to these kinds of sentient beings. So when you talk about the intermediates, the beings born, then the closest to it is the Asura or the ghost. Okay, it's not the hell, not the being from the hell or the beings in heaven. Okay. 所以根据一些部派佛教的记载呢，那中阴阶段的有情呢，都是处于在人形那么他们还是可以看的、听到的、闻到的、嗅到的、尝到的跟思维。那么再根据一些论师的论述呢，死后投身天界的人或死后投身在地狱的人呢，都是没有中阴的状态，而是直升直堕的那么排除掉这个天界跟这个地狱之外呢，6道的哪一种生命状态呢，以中阴的条件相符呢？那肯定答案就是阿修罗的众生跟鬼道的众生呢，是最接近这个中阴身的有情了。Now we look at the nature of the intermediate beings. describes in the Mahavibhasha. And these are roughly described as follows. The intermediate being is born spontaneously, meaning that it borns and appears naturally in the air. And this is one of the 4 births. Born in this birth includes devas, beings, intermediate beings, and some ghosts. Other 3 types of birth are born from eggs, are born from womb, and born from moistures in humid places. So among these 4 births, the number of beings born spontaneously is the largest. Okay, so this is one of the nature. The intermediate is born spontaneously. Then the second, the body. Just now we have said the body, they have the function of smelling, etc. So then this body is very subtle and congregated or conglomerated by the 4 great elements. So it still had a very fine, subtle elements. And the third, the body is nourished or feed by the fragrant as sacrificial offering like food. Okay? And the fourth, the intermediate being has the opportunity to be reborn into another state of life when his relative doing married and transferred merit to him. So this is the types of ghost when we talk about the beings, okay, able to receive the merit like this. They are the ghosts who live on the gifts of others, interpreters. OK， 所以我们来看一下这个中阴身的性质呢，大略可以分成这几种啊。那中阴身呢是一个化身，好，那什么是化身呢？就是自然的在这个虚空变化生出来的。那么这个化身呢是四种身的一种。那这一类的这个畜生呢，化身呢，包括天人啊、地狱道的众生啊，包括中有或者以及部分的这个鬼道的众生啊。那另外呢，三身包括就是卵生啊，就是鸡蛋啊孵化出来的，或者是胎生啊，胎生就是从母胎中生出。四身呢，就是在湿润的地方哈，由四气呢生出来的，叫四身啊。所以呢，在这个四身里面呢，化身的数量是最多的啊，这个是第一种的特征啊。那第二种的话呢，中有啊，他们的身体呢是有这个非常微薄的这个四大所具啊，就他们的身体还是有这个四大地水火风。然后他们怎么来滋养身体呢？他们是靠这个香就是吃这个香还有这个祭品就是摆在桌上的祭品那第四种呢，假如有亲戚为他们祈福或者是为他们做功德的话呢，中阴身就有机会呢转变成另外一种的生命形态。那其实这有点像这个鬼道的众生之意就是依他施活命鬼。所以刚才我讲的，假如你说要中阴身到底是什么呢？可能就是这一道的这个众生，就是依他施命施活命鬼So in Mahayana Buddhism, there is the types of Dhamma assembly called deliberate for intermediate being. Assembly called deliberate for intermediate being, in which the intermediate being is invited to hear the Dhamma, to repent over their evil deeds done in the past, and to make them rejoice in the assembly in order to achieve deliverance from the state of intermediate being. So it is clear that from the above intermediate beings, the nature, it is definitely belongs to the ghost who live on the gift of others. So they are the only ghosts who are capable to obtain food and merit dedicated by their relative done on their behalf. 那在这个北传的佛教呢，有讲到一个这个法会那个法会叫 中阴身中阴救度法那在这个法会里面呢，他们会招请这个中阴身来听闻佛法，来化解他们的心结，那令这些有缘的这些鬼神呢得以欢喜然后达到这个超度的效果。所以呢我这里很清楚的看到呢，从以上这个中阴身的这个性质来看的话，这中阴身肯定就是鬼道的依他施活命的鬼类唯有这一类的鬼类众生呢，才能够获得亲人以他们的名义布施的食物和回向的功德。So we have said four the predators and the hungry ghosts. So in the Milinda Panha, there's a text called Milinda Panha. There are 4 kinds of predators, okay, mentioned of 4 kinds. And one is the Vantasika who feeds on vomit. Kupipasino, who are always very hungry and thirsty. And then the third one is Nijamatahika, who are consumed by craving. And Paradatupa Jivina, who live on the gift of others. So the last one, the fourth one, named Paradatupa Jivina, who live on the gift of others. They are able to enjoy the merits transferred to them by their living friends and relatives, and they can pass on, to a better abode of happiness. 所以呢，在这个Milinda Panha有一部很早期的这个经呢里面也有谈到4类的恶鬼就是第一种就是嗜吐恶鬼，第二呢就是饥饿恶鬼，第三呢就是烧渴恶鬼，第4呢就是依他施活命鬼。那只有呢在这个第4类依他施活命鬼呢，才能获得人们以他们的名义布施的食物和回向的功德那得以那么超生So some people, due to the ripening of their unwholesome karma, okay, before they die, the productive karma we have said last week causes them to be reborn as these types of ghosts, okay, who live on the gift of others, okay, in the ghost realms immediately. And the duration of reborn in the realm of ghosts, of course, is depending on the productive karma that generates karma-born types of materiality, and of course, dependence on other factors as well, such as supportive karma, obstructive karma, and destructive karma, collectively, that determining the life duration of the ghost. And the life duration of ghosts may last for 7 days, 14 days, or up to 49 days. 所以由于人临终前呢造了一些不善的这个业成熟了，那这个令生业呢可以导致他投身在这个轨道的依他施活命轨那么在那里呢这个轨道的寿命的长短呢，当然是依他的这个令生业所产生的业生色，以及他在轨道的支持业、阻碍业跟毁坏业等等的因素构成他所谓我们讲的他在那里活了7天，或者是14天，或者是区49天这些不等的鬼生命So we are talking about 2 situations of birth, okay, in this context. First, because of the productive karma, okay, of his unwholesome karma in the past is not very strong. It takes only a short time to occur. That is to say, the new karma-born types of materiality will no longer continue and die in the realms of ghosts. And that succeeded immediately by another new productive karma born in another realms of existence. So the second, when there is a very strong wholesome karma, such as family members doing merit for him, such as rejoicing merits or hearing the Dhamma, etc., the power of this good karma form the destructive karma of the ghost life and suspend the productive karma and then rebirth immediately, in good existences after death. So this is what happened, for a ghost born in the realm of preta. 那在这个轨道呢，刚才我们讲的这个恶轨道的众生有2种借身受身的情况第一呢，就是由于过去呢这不善业的这个令生业因为它不是很强它需要在很短的时间呢变耗尽了，所以这个业身色法呢就不再产生在这个轨道而就在轨道死亡了。那接着呢，在依随它成熟新的这个令生业呢，在另一界这个生存地呢产生结生，就是投胎那第2种呢，就是当有很强的这个善业的时候呢，比如说在家属为他做功德比如说随喜功德给他，或者是让他听闻佛法等，那这些善业的力量呢，会形成轨道生命的这个毁坏业并终止他的令生业，而死亡之后投身在这个善趣里面。所以我们华人呢，一般呢都会在我们讲的这个49天呢，就会做很多很多的功德。假如是不幸的他们的这个亲戚呢往生在这一道的这个众生的话呢，那可以借着这个回向功德那让他们能够往生到更好的地方那也许这样的一个情况呢，这个是一个 Gandhabba。In Anguttara Nikaya, in the Chatutta Vagga, the Buddha said, after that, people who are reborn in evil planes of existence are definitely more than those who are reborn in good planes of existences. And many Chinese have had a very common belief, from the ancient time, things that people die and surely become ghosts. And this kind of wrong view has made many Chinese really reincarnate as ghosts after death. 那么在这个真知部里面那么佛陀说，死后呢投身在这个恶趣的人，肯定呢是比投身在善趣的还要的多。那再加上呢，自古以来呢，许多华人都有一种非常普遍的这个邪见就认为说死了就变鬼了。那这种邪见呢，不知呢造就了多少华人死后真的投身在这个鬼界所以这个是很要不得的这个思想死后变鬼。So it is very easy to fall down to evil planes of existence, just as water naturally flows from a high place to low planes. So this is what we call the inclination of the mind. A person who wishes to rebirth to good planes of existences must be supported by good karma. However, if a person wishes to be reborn in bad planes of existence, you do not require any effort. So if a person has a view that to become ghost after death, or insists that people must enter the intermediate being first, after death, this is similar to the concept of ghost body. Then surely they will reborn in the ghost realms after death, because you have the inclination to the mind. So being born in the what you call Dhammapala, in the intermediate, are those ghosts, particularly this kind of ghost, right? 那要堕落恶趣呢，其实是一件非常容易的事情好比这个水自然从高处往下流我们佛教呢称之为心的倾向那一个人发愿呢投身在善趣呢，当然你要有这个善业的支持。当一个人说要去到恶道的时候呢，其实他是不需要呢付出任何的努力的也不需要任何的善业支持。所以呢，当一个人观念呢认为人死后变鬼呢，或者是坚持认为人死后呢一定要先进入中阴身这类的鬼神的概念呢，那他肯定的死后呢就会投身在这个轨道所以呢，大家听完我的这个讲法之后呢就不要有这样的一个想法 什么中阴身44至49天，只要你有这样的一个想法的话呢，真的你的这个心的倾向呢，就会导致你呢投身在这个轨道的众生。好。Why do heretics says there is an intermediate being after death? 那为什么外道的修行呢？他们都说死后呢，有这样的一个中阴身说法。刚才我们讲了，这个佛教的中阴身的概念呢，不是佛教的就是一些外道的修行人，就是他们把它带进了佛门那佛教呢，出家人就把它发扬光大了，就有点。So我们来看一下这个外道他们怎么说的。Then some outside heretics, okay, they have cultivated, quite sometimes and able to, develop a certain, what we call the divine eyes, certain capacity, okay, due to their practice, okay, and they can see many people with their own divine eyes, especially those who are neither doing good or bad. After death, they were reborn in the realm of ghost for some times, and then later on reincarnated in other realms. And these outside heretics mistakenly believe that this ghost is the connection between one's life to another. So they are very certain that there is this intermediate being after death. 所以一些外道的这个修行者那么他们因为透过修行他们培育出一些所谓的这个世俗的神通或者是天眼通之类的，那么他们可以看到呢，他们的亲人往生之后呢，那么投身在这个轨道去那也在这个轨道的众生活了一段时间，然后又投胎去别的地方。那这些外道的修行人就误以为这些轨道的生命就是生命与生命之间的一个连接，就是一个中间阶段就是人死后呢变成鬼，然后呢等这一段时间去投胎所以呢他们因此呢就肯定了死后呢有这个中阴身的这个说法。So as a Buddhist disciple with a proper view, should we believe an existence of intermediate being? Of course, in Theravada tradition, there is no such belief of intermediate being. But because of the influence of Chinese practice, somehow we talk about the existence of it and eventually we believe it. So I think everyone has the answer to the question, is there any intermediate being? 所以我们身为一个正信的这个佛弟子呢，我们到底要不要相信就是有没有这个中阴身的这个说法？当然在这个南传上座部的传统呢，没有中阴的这个解说，但是呢由于受到我们华人传统的影响，他们会相信呢我们会相信一般华人传统相信呢，就是人死后呢有这个中阴身的说法就死后变鬼那慢慢的在我们的这个华人传统里面思想里面呢，我们感觉好像相信了它的存在。那我想呢，我们刚才讨论了这么多，那对于有没有中阴身的说法，我想大家应该有了这个答案The Buddha has said once a sentient being who has fallen to bad planes of existence, it's very slim for him to be reborn in good planes of existence like the dust on his nail. Then for our long-term happiness, we all vow to be reborn as human beings or deities in the next life. And why do we want to be a ghost or intermediate ghost? Okay, so don't keep inclining our mind that we must be reborn in the ghost realms 所以呢我们要记得佛陀曾经说过就是有情呢堕落在恶趣后的那么在投身在善趣的这个机会呢是非常的渺茫就好比 他的指甲的尘埃那么少所以呢，为了自己的幸福我们发愿呢，来世投身到更好的地方比如说生人，成为人或者是天界为什么我们要把我们的心呢倾向于做鬼或者是相信中阴身变鬼的这种说法呢？所以呢，我们千万不能一直灌输自己一定要投身在这个鬼界，死后变鬼的这样的一个说法，要不然真的就是进去了，要上到善界呢，是非常非常的难。Now we look at the concept of Gandhabba. But before that, we look at the pre-Buddhist conception of Gandhabba. The Sanskrit is called Gandharva. So in an ancient Indian Brahmanic traditions, they believe that the death of a being, after the death of sentient beings, their consciousness, which they believe to be eternal, will continue to be reincarnated, or their consciousness is transformed, all right? So this reincarnated consciousness is transformed to Gandharva. They believe that is entity in the intermediate states between death and the next life. Or they call it a semi-god or semi-divine being that associated with fatality and associated with the god Soma. So they believe there is this separate entity called Gandharva. And elsewhere in the Atharva Veda, is in one of the very ancient texts of the Vedas, and the term Gandharva also stand for the celestial being that feed on fragrance. So a Gandharva may dwell in the sea or in the sky or belong to the realms inferior to the four great kings. 那么在这个古印度的这个婆罗门的思想里面他们有这样的一个说法，就是当有情众生死后呢，他们这个神识呢会继续的投胎就是轮回。那这个投胎的这个神识呢便投身在这个 Gandharva。那这种的 Gandharva 呢就是处于在死亡与再生之间这个中间状态的一个实体。那当然这个 Gandharva 呢也与这个生育能力相关的半神就是半神，就半人半神有关，或者是与他们这个神叫做 Soma 有关那这个我们不去谈了。那另外呢Gandharva 在印度的这个典籍，就是 Face 这个典籍里面呢也有记载除了刚才我们讲的那个神识呢，也有一类的，就是以这个什么香味为食的这个男性的天神这个男性的天神呢，他能够表演音乐或者是节目所以我们把它称为这个音乐神celestial musician. Then Sarastivada, as we said, is the earliest sectarian school of Buddhist thought. They also inherited this concept and translated as God who feeds on fragrance. And Gandhabba is just another name of the intermediate being. 那一切有部呢也继承了这个说法那发展了这个中阴的说法。那这个 Gandhabba也是这个中阴身的这个译名。那么好像感觉越来越乱了因为这些呢都是在早期的这些典籍里面记载所以呢很多这些部派的佛教呢也采纳了他们的思想然后发展所以我希望大家我在讲这个题目的时候呢，我们要理清一些过去的一些思想，要不然我们很难理解这个概念所以就是一切有部呢把这个思想给发扬光大，应该这么说。Now, so the Buddhist conception of Gandharvas appears, have its root in the Vedic Gandharva. I mean, the Buddhist concept of Gandharva is a pre-Buddhist origin. And then this Gandharva in their Vedic tradition, has a particular function of transmigrating or transmitting things from one world to another. And this concept of Gandharva has influenced Buddhism, particularly Sarvastivada. And I will, take, several Gandharva concepts, from the several sutras, okay, to let you know, what is the Buddhist conception of Gandharva. 那佛教呢，对这个Gandharva 这个概念呢，是源自于这个婆罗门这个吠舍的这个思想来的。那么在这些古印度的这些思想呢，他们相信这个 Gandharva 呢，具有将食物呢从一个世界传播到另一个世界的一些特殊功能。那这种的思想也影响了这个佛教，所以呢，我们可以在我们佛教的经典呢找到有关这个 Gandharva 的这个词汇我想把它呢总结为3段So I want to summarize them, taken from the sutras, the concept of Gandharvas, into this 3 summary. Then the first, in the Asalayana sutras, okay, the Gandharva is used to refer to one of the 3 conditions for the conception of being. That is to say, the descent into the wombs, okay, take place through the junction of these 3 conditions. It means that there is a union of mother and father, and the mother is in the season, and the Gandharva is present. So one of the condition. 那第一种这个思想呢Gandharva 呢出现在这个 Asalayana Suttas。那在这部经典里面有谈到这个Gandharva 呢，就是入胎的这个3世和合的其中一个条件。Then the second one, in the Buddhist legend, Gandharva is a music god in the heaven, or the celestial, musician, and they are most closely resembled, similar, in nature to humans, and they feed on fragrance, and he lives on tops of the Mount Sumeru and served the Sakadeva. Okay, and Gandharva is one of the 9 classes of celestial nagas. So this is a second understanding of Gandharva. All right. 那在我们佛教的这个传统里面呢Gandharva 可以说是天界的这个音乐神。那他们以这个芳香为食。那他们住在这个须弥山上就是须弥山，就是我们讲的这个喜马拉雅山上就是专侍奉这个第4天的夜神那在我们佛教认识的这个天龙八部里面呢这个Gandharva是8部众就是天龙8部的其中一个神那其实他们跟人的这个形象呢是很相似的。Then besides the Gandharva, a celestial musician that serve the Saka, then the Gandharva is also another class, or is also another beings belonging to the demigods. Demigod means they are Ashura, inhabited in the east of the Chaturmaharajika realms. 这很有趣吧所以我们刚才讲说在阿修罗道呢众生呢也是有音乐神那这个音乐神呢的名字也叫Gandharva那他们是这个4大天王就是东方持国天王的一个部众所以他们叫做音乐神所以我们看到了音乐神呢可以是在天的也可以是在这个我们说在这个天界以下的这个地界那在这个地界的音乐神呢其实就是这个阿修罗的同样的他们的名字出现呢都是叫 Gandharva. Then Then it's interesting now we talk about the Gandharva. Gandharva has a male and a female gender. The female gender is called the god of flying through the air, or it's called Apsara. And because they are flying, you see, they are flying in the air, you see, because of the elegant flying image of heavenly being, they were very often, painted on the wall of an ancient Buddhist temple or in the cave. 所以呢，我们刚才讲的这个犍陀罗，它也是有男性跟女性的。那么在女性的这个甘达巴呢，他们就称为飞天就飞天那在巴利文叫做 Apsara。那我们会在一些早期的一些很老的寺院的墙壁呢，我们会看到就是一些飞天很优雅的这个飞天的这个神像出现。那这个很优雅的这个神像出现，其实他们就是甘达巴他们是以女性他们是飞天男性呢就是音乐神，女性呢就是飞天所以他们很优雅的在这个天上翱翔吧Then the third one, this is what we have earlier said. It says the Gandhabas belong to the realms of ghosts or the demigod, meaning the Ashura. 所以呢，在这个六道中呢，见这 Gandhaba 呢，也可以说是有福报的这个鬼神那这个有福报的鬼神呢，我们把它称为伊他师活命鬼，就是刚才我们看到的，就是在恶鬼道呢，不是都很苦的。那有一些鬼道的众生，其实他们很有福报的。那就是这一类的这个鬼神众生呢，是非常有福报那在我们佛教呢，这一类的这个鬼神出生我们也叫做 Gandhaba 他是出生在这个阿修罗道那或者除了这个鬼道的，他也可以出生在这个阿修罗道的这个众生就刚才我们看到的这个音乐神所以呢就是在这个经典里面呢有这些不同的说法，所以我可以了解到为什么很多人对这个甘达巴这个概念呢非常非常的模糊。Then Theravada tradition of course rejected the concept of Gandhabas as intermediate being. But how should Theravada explain Gandhaba is one of the three factors for the conception of beings in the Asalayana Suttas. 那我们在这个上座部的佛教呢我们就拒绝了这个 Gandhaba 的这个为这个中阴身这样的一个概念那但是呢，为什么在这个 Asalayana Suttas Gandhaba 呢出现在这个三世和合之意的条件呢？那这个要怎么来解释它呢？这很有趣这个呢大家一定要了解In the Asalayana Suttas, the word Gandhaba occur as one of the conditions for the conception of being. Okay, so the descent into the womb take place through the junction of these three conditions: union of father and mother, and the mother is in the season, and the Gandhaba is present. And there is a record how a Brahmin attempted to challenge the Buddhas on the issue of caste superiority. Particularly Brahmins, according to them, are born of the mouth of the Brahman. And because of that, they belongs to the superior caste. So in that context of argument, the Buddha did pointed out that three conditions are required for the conception of being. One is the presence of Gandhaba. And because of this, okay, you talk about the Gandhaba, and you cannot say that to which caste the Gandhaba belong to. And the Buddha questioned the Brahmin further. Can you identify the Gandhaba belonging to the Brahmin caste, or belonging to the Shastriya caste, or belonging to the Vaishya class, or belonging to the Shudra caste? You can't. Then at the end of the suttas, the Buddha make it clear that the Brahmanica believed in the creation of four castes by the God, and their caste superiority is really groundless. So it's ridiculous. So 在这个阿萨拉亚那苏的经里面有谈到呢，那一个生命的诞生需要具备这三个条件，那甘达巴呢是三个条件之一。那有谈到就是三世合会入于母胎父母聚集一处，母满精盛赞奈相应，这个相应其实就是甘达巴，以致此三世会合入于母胎 经里有这样的一个讲到这一句话。那这一部经里面呢，婆罗门尝试呢挑战佛陀啊。那婆罗门挑战什么呢？就挑战我们婆罗门种族有多优势那尤其是这个婆罗门他们出生于这个大梵天的这个口那也是最高尚的这个种族这个族姓但佛陀呢指出既然你们有讲到这个甘达尔那这3世会合入于母胎，那你不能够说这个甘达尔因为你们相信的吗？你们说的吗？是属于哪一个种姓吗？那佛陀其实很尖锐的就对婆罗门说，那你能够告诉我这个甘达尔要入母胎的时候呢，它是不是属于婆罗门种姓，或者是属于这个萨舍亚的种姓，或者是属于这个歪雪的种姓，甚至是属于这个 Shudra 的种姓，就是印度的4种阶级。所以呢，在讨论结束之后呢，那婆罗门呢佛陀呢也很明确的就指示了婆罗门对这个种姓的这个优势，还有他们是从他们大梵天口里面出生的，是毫无根据的所以在这样的一个情况之下呢，甘达巴出现了。Then the interesting point in this sutta is the use of the terms Gandharva. The Buddha already knew the terms of Gandharva used by the Brahmin. That is the intermediate states between death and the next life, or a semi-god being associated with fatality, about to be reborn when seeing the sexual acts of the future parents. So this concept of Gandharva is completely rejected by the Buddha himself. Why? Still, the Buddha proposed the Gandharva in the Asalayana Suttas. 那这部经典呢，最有趣的地方呢，就是佛陀用了这个 Gandharva 这一词了。佛陀知道呢，婆罗门使用的这个 Gandharva 这个词呢，是指在死亡后与界身之间有一个中间的阶段。那这里呢，有一个与生育有关的半神的众生当半神呢看到未来的父母呢在行房事，那准备他们呢之后呢便准备就入母胎了所以在这样的一个情况之下呢这个 Gandharva 就出现了。所以呢，虽然我们讲说佛陀在经里面拒绝了这个 Gandharva 的这个概念，但为什么佛陀还在这个 Gandharva 在这个经典阿萨拉亚那经典呢还提出了这个 Gandharva 呢？ So Buddha made use of the Brahmanica conception of Gandharva to point out the inconsistencies in the Brahmanica caste system. For example, if both parents are from different castes, say for example, husband is from the Brahmin caste and the wife is from the Sastriya caste. That is to say, husband is born of mouth of Brahma and the wife is born from the shoulder of the Brahma. But when they were in sexual acts, it is a Gandharva which their Brahmin believe a semi-divine being associated with fatality about to be reborn when other two conditions are fulfilled. Okay? And you cannot identify the caste identity of the child, nor establish the purity of the Brahmin caste. So it is ridiculous. So the Buddha uses the concept of Gandharva to reject their caste system that created by their creator God. Unless you talk about the Gandharva of Brahmin, Gandharva of Kshatriya, etc. Right? Then the Buddha uses the concept of Gandharva to reject the Brahmanica idea about the caste system, not the Brahma God that presides over conception and determining the caste of the child. 所以佛陀利用这个婆罗门教的这个 Gandharva 这个概念来指出婆罗门教呢这个种姓制度的这个矛盾的地方了例如，如果父母双方都是来自不同的种姓，比如丈夫来自这个婆罗门种姓，或者是妻子呢来自刹帝利种姓，也就是说丈夫呢是从梵天的口出生的，那妻子是从梵天的肩膀出生的。当他们在行房的时候呢，那婆罗门认为呢有一个这个 Gandharva 与一个呢生育有关的这个半神呢将会进入这个母胎但你无法确定这个孩子的种族身份那么你也没有办法确定 婆罗门的种姓的纯正。为什么？因为父母两个都种姓不同啊，所以呢，这个也太荒谬了。所以呢，佛陀呢也用了这个 Gandhabba 的概念，也拒绝了就是由造物主上帝所创造的种姓制度啊，除非你跟我谈 Gandhabba 也属于这个婆罗门的 ，Gandhabba 也属于这个刹帝利的等等等等啊。所以呢，佛陀在这样的一个在这个经典里面使用这个 Gandhabba 这个概念，是来拒绝婆罗门教关于种姓制度的观念，而不是由大梵天神来界定孩子的种姓。So in the same suttas, the Buddha seems no objection to adopting the Gandhabba view on rebirth in his teaching, as long as they did not postulate a self, and it is a being to be reborn, right? So Gandhabba used by the Buddhas is just a conventional terms refer to the stream of consciousness that carried the karmic forces or energy to an intermediate birth, intermediate rebirth in another existence. Okay? So this intermediate being is just another forms of life, one of the beings in the six realms. 所以呢，从这个经文来看的话呢，其实佛陀也没有反对在他的教导里面呢，有关这个再生的这个Gandhabba的思想，前提只要没有一个自我的这个主宰那简单来说的话，Gandhabba其实就是意识流在贪爱的业力的驱使之下呢，寻求新的这个生存的这个形态。So in Theravada, rebirth takes place immediately following death with no intermediate stage. The Gandhabba is just another stream of consciousness carrying the karmic forces aspire to be reborn. And therefore, the Buddha use of these terms in the Asalayana Suttas is without any substantialist notion. So therefore, Gandhabba referred to a suitable being driven by karmic forces, ready to be born in that particular womb. And this term is used only in this particular connection. It must not be mistaken for the permanent soul. Okay, so in this particular connection of the Brahmin, okay, of showing the fallacy of the Brahmin of using the caste, the superiority. So at the moment of the conception, it is a karma that conditions the initial consciousness that vitalizes the fetus, and this karma is invisible. They generated from the past life that produce a phenomenon of life in an already extant physical phenomenon to complete the trial that constitutes the beginning of the life. 所以呢，因此在这个上座部佛教呢，死后呢立即投胎没有中间这个阶段呢。那Gandhabba只是一种意识流，承载着业力渴望重生的生命体。那在寻求新的这个生命的这个形态。所以呢，佛陀在阿萨拉亚那苏特里面所提到的Gandhabba是没有任何实体自我永恒的实体所以呢，佛陀讲在受孕的那一刻呢。就在贪爱业力的驱使之下呢，使胎儿出现了这个活力了那么也开始了最初的意识。业呢，正是这种无形的业力能量在已经存在的物理现象中产生了这个生命的现象，从而完成了构成生命的3个条件所以呢，这个就是佛教对这个出生婴儿的再生的这个解释。Okay, my talk is ended now. So 希望大家理解。Brother Chim?
It can be very enlightening for those who understand, but can be quite confusing for those who may want to know a bit more. So, brother and sister, if you have any question to ask the Venerable Dr. Dhammapala, you may post your question at the comment section. Is there any question? Yeah, there's one from Brother Hai Ing. How can yakas, asuras, or devas help us in our daily life if we uphold our precepts, practice the Dhamma, and transfer merits to them? How do we know they are guiding and protecting us from harm?
Okay.
But in the first place, Yaka, Asura, Deva, and all those celestial beings, musicians are the same.
Okay, yeah, I think very interesting because as you have mentioned this, these, we call it, they are the Dhamma protectors, yeah. We also can talk about, they are one of the classes of the gods and demons, huh? And they are the worldly spirits, and you see, so when we talk about the worldly spirits, there are 8 classes of being, of gods and humans, include, like earlier I have seen just now, you talk about the Naga, you talk about the Yaksha, you talk about the Ashura. In fact, they are the Dhamma protectors in Buddhism. Yeah, so you see, in our chanting, in our Buddhist chanting, usually we will invite, these gods. These gods here refer to the earth god. Earth god, and we also invite the spirits. We invite the Yaksha. We invite, the Gandharva, or even Garuda. You see, to come and listen to the Dhammas. You see, so yeah, I believed there are some of the good of these beings. They come and protect us and protect the sasana. Yeah, we do believe that they are the Dhamma protectors. Okay.
A second question from Brother Hai Ing as well. How can we develop pure last moments, like the moment before death, and to attain a good rebirth? How can chanting a mantra help before we die?
Okay, I think this one we have said in our last session. I think you can go back, to our last class to talk about it. It means that the last one before we die is very important. Is the determining factors, determining our future good rebirth. So I think in our Chinese traditions we believe, doing merit, for the departed ones. Or in our Buddhist traditions, you see, they try to recollect, some of the wholesome karma that they did in the past, try to awaken, some of the good thoughts in the past. So when he think of those good thoughts in the past, he was very happy. So with this kind of happy thought, you see, he will then reborn in the better life, right? And of course, how can chanting a mantra help before we die? Yeah, when you talk about the mantra, whatever it is, the sutras also, you see, and when you do your chanting, your mind is very focused, okay? And that concentration of mind can overcome, the fears, and can overcome the difficulties, you see. So so you are generating a good, wholesome karma. And this wholesome karma will help us, to reborn in the better plans of existence. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Pandey. Any more questions? There's this question, Pandey. Many case studies have proved that a person already dead, example in Europe, was reborn in a faraway country, example in Sri Lanka. Are there any certain conditions that an intermediate being takes rebirth in a certain family?
You see, when you talk about the intermediate beings, you see, they are belonging to the ghost types, you see, and they have their own realms of existence. And for sure, and we are talking about intermediate beings, the ghosts, they are everywhere. And of course, due to this attachment, the craving, of this Gandharva, and they're in fact asking help from the family members, So they might come to you, okay, their family members, to ask for merit. So usually in our tradition, when someone that we don't know whether he is born in the hungry ghost or not, we generally will do, the good merit, and we share the merit with them. So if unfortunately our relative born as intermediate being as this hungry ghost, they can take it, they can receive it, okay, and reborn in the better plans of existence, right? So only in this case is possible. So yeah, and okay, thank you.
Okay, and this one from brother Dr. Park Tan. Have you idea how the number of days came for reborn? About why 7 days, why 14, why 49, why not 3, 8, or 10, or 20, or 30 days?
I think no need to worry about the number of days. You see, you can have any days, because to my knowledge, time is just a relative. It's just a concept. When a person dies, reborn in different realms, time is relative already. So yeah, you can say any days, any number of days, or it could be much longer than this. Okay, so but usually we need numbers. Okay, to fix a number for us to do the merit. If not, we don't know when to do it. So we need to fix the number. So it's okay. No need to worry.
Yeah, thank you, Pandey. That's a good answer. There's one question from Sister Wendy Chiu. Can a human that commits suicide to be reborn again in happy realms too?
Cannot. Cannot lah. He's killing. He is doing the killing act. You see, at the moment of death, he has a lot of fears, a lot of anger, a lot of ignorance. You see, so these are the conditions, that in determining his rebirth in a very bad plans of existence. So we encourage people, don't do that. Right? Cultivate more the virtues, for the assurance for our future life.
Thank you, Pandey. More questions? This one from Sister Pandey Chiu, I think. GK Tan, sorry. Hi, Pandey. Question would be the rebirth of a child, any relationship to the karma of the parent?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, we have, the kind of the karmic forces that bind us together. I believe that. Even your children come to you, there are certain karmic forces, of your children that bind to you. So we believe that. 所以再来是欠他们的债啊，欠他们的。Okay.
Yeah, Pandey. Thank you. Pandey mentioned about this Theravada teaching that rejected the concept of this intermediate being after death. But this term Gandhapa was still mentioned in the sutta as a condition of rebirth. Just how Pandey mentioned about Gandhapa as a stream of consciousness, is it? How do we reconcile this actually?
Okay, I think in the pre-Buddhist, the term Gandhapa is used. In our Buddhist terms also, the Gandhapa is used. But both of these interpretations differ. Okay, differ in the way of the Americanism is quite different. And where the Buddha used the terms Gandhapas is to argue the Brahmin on their superiority and the purity of the Brahmin caste, and to challenge them. And to show their, the inconsistencies and the fallacy in the Brahmanical caste system. So in that context, the word Gandhapa is used because the word Gandhapa is also understood by them. And but of course, Buddha also seems no objection to the use of the Gandhapas, provided you don't postulate the self. And just like I also mentioned about the Buddha said, use the term Gandhapa, that should be understood as the stream of consciousness, okay? But of course, it's without a self-entity. But this Gandapa, or the what you call the stream of consciousness, they carry a lot of karmic forces. Then you aspire due to the craving, the forces of craving. You aspired to be reborn, from one to another world. So I think the Buddha also used the word Gandapa, but without postulating any substantialist notion. So I think the Buddha is quite aware of using these words, to avoid the confusion. So I mean, in our Theravada understanding, at the moment of conception, we all believe there is a karma that conditions the initial consciousness that vitalizes the fetus. And it is these invisible karmic forces that generated from the past life produced the phenomena of life, already extend the physical phenomena. So to complete the three conditions that are required for the beginning of a new life.
Okay, thank you, Bhante, for this very interesting, very informative and educational Dhamma talk, and also the very enlightening answers to our questions. Thank you so much. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Patidana, transference of merit. Akasata cha bummata devanaga mahidika punyang tang anumoditwa chirang rakantu loka sasanang chirang rakantu desanang chirang rakantu mang parang etawata cha amhehi sampadang punya sampadang sabe deva sabe satta sabe buddha anumodantu sappasang patisiddhya. Patidana, transference of merits to departed relative. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Punya numodana, sharing of merits. Imang no punya bhagang mata pito nancha acharya nancha sapa sata nancha sapa mita nancha sapa nyati nancha sapa peta nancha Sabba devata nancha bhajema. Imang no punya bhagang sabba satanang dema sabbe sata sukita hontu. Imina punya kamena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yavanik banapatiya. Idang me punyang asavakaya wahang hotu. Idang me punyang Nibbanas pacayo hotu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
to be with us for this Sunday Buddha Puja service and giving us a very interesting Dhamma talk. Brothers and sisters, please help me to thank Dr. Dhammapala Sadhu, and also thank to our moderator, President Brother Chim, Puja leader Sister Anne, and the teacher team led by Brother Chin, Wai Hong, and Brother Alfred Chen. Brothers and sisters, in the Dhamma, before we end, let us pay homage to the Triple Gem. Buddhang Puji, Dhammang Puji, Sanghang Puji. To the devotees, thank you very much for participating. To those who have stayed until to the transference and sharing of merits, thank you very much for participating. We have come to the end of this 27th online Sunday Buddha Puja service. Remember, keep in touch with your society's Facebook and WhatsApp group for information of the next talk. Please visit it again next Sunday morning. Remember, stay safe, stay home. May you and family be safe, well, happy, peaceful always. Sukhi Hontu, goodbye. Sabbe Sata Sukita Hontu.
Bahung sahan semabhinim mitesayudantang ngirimi kelang uditego Sase